Last week, the United States closed the issue of its unreliable partnership. The House of Representatives and the Senate voted for a law to allocate funds to allies, including Ukraine, in the amount of $61 billion. Moreover, weapons worth $1 billion will be supplied immediately. Also today, the allocation of an additional $6 billion will be announced, although these weapons will be delivered later. But the Kremlin's fur has already risen at the mere thought that the ATACMS transferred to Ukraine will certainly fly towards Crimea. The generals fall asleep and wake up with only one thought. Is the Kerch Bridge still standing, or has it already splashed down? Before the next attacks on the oil refinery had died down, the Russians were invigorated by the news about the developed Sokol drone, capable of flying 3,300 km deep into the cave and hitting objects that only yesterday were considered beyond the reach of retaliatory strikes. Thus, the boys' myth about the insurmountability of swamp distances, thanks to which the cave seems invincible, is nullified. Putin still has a few months to fill Ukraine with meat, of which there is still a lot. True, it is already necessary to recruit it in the Moscow region, due to the exhaustion of the outback. But there is no shortage of roasting material yet. However, towards the end of June the situation at the front may change. Firstly, Ukraine will increase its personnel, secondly, the arms shortage will disappear, and thirdly, aviation will appear with the first F-16s. For Putin, on the contrary, after the spring floods the tiger will begin to burn. To all these delights will be added general nervousness from economic instability and fatigue from war. For a dictator, there is only one way out: to be proactive, urgently purging the ranks of the elite, who at a critical moment may show disloyalty. Shoigu's deputy, Timur Ivanov, was the first to fall under the knife of repression. His entourage was so actively looking for access to Western intelligence services that now he will have to take the rap for himself and those who screwed up. Perhaps Putin will take advantage of the planned dissolution of the government and will not reappoint Shoigu to the post of defense minister. The idea of updating the elite through grinding down the old, snickering thief is very tempting, and can smooth out the turbulence from future defeats. And only the loss of Crimea can derail the bald man. In the paradigm of the implementation of nuclear doctrine, he may decide to use a tactical nuclear weapon specifically in Crimea, but after that he will no longer be outside human laws, and he and the cave can already be killed by the whole world. Because the West and even China will not allow anyone to turn a nuclear weapon, which is taboo for use, into something commonplace. As always, the range of scenarios is wide, and everything depends on the unstable psyche of the gone dictator. Feeling the inevitability of the outcome, the good Russian, Opa, returned to the agenda of the government in exile. FB Kashky brand Yeltsin and his thieving servants, carefully avoiding the exploits of Sobchak's deputy. But in general, good Russians are again preoccupied with compiling a list of members of the future government, nominating Yulia Navalnaya for president, using parallels with Tikhanovskaya. All this fuss has nothing to do with the realities of the future, which is creeping up from the horizon like a black cloud of grandiose nicks. And if the Soviet Union was finished off by the Afghan adventure of the old man from the Politburo, then it's scary to think what will happen in the case of the post-Soviet cave, which does not even bear a faint resemblance to the USSR. In Sevastopol and cities bordering Ukraine, they are cancelling victorious events, feeling that it is about to arrive. Putin meets with the cave business, hinting at the inevitable squeeze, and hypnotizing so that no one tweets. The system, having pulled the rat onto a stump, married it to the end, so the entire Shaggy collective will drown in this toilet under the burden of hardships and adversity. With the words, "After us even a flood, even a nuclear winter." Europe is preparing for an attack by crazy Russia. Macron is talking about the need to strengthen European defense. Poland, Finland and the Baltic countries are at a low start. And only the rat rushes inside the wheel of war, spinning it even stronger. She can no longer jump out of there, because only the factory of death guarantees her power and life itself.